Yin 30. So a little bit cold today in Melbourne, back into winter. So you can have a little blanket. As usual, I'll just start with some props, but don't have to have the props. Most probably a blanket if you're down in Melbourne today, cold. That can also be used to elevate your hips. Otherwise, you might have a cushion that can be handy, but again, that's not absolute necessity. And I'll just start probably if you have a foam roller, or I have one of these magnificent device, really good for the spine, so you can start rolling the spine. If you don't have any of this stuff, you can just start maybe in Supta, Baddha, Konasana, just for a few minutes here. I just like to, sometimes when I come on the mat for some good stretches like the yin, I really love this one. So again, this is called, I mentioned that before, but if you're interested, this is called the lockerroomsports.com. And this is really, really good for the spine. I love it. I get to roll the spine, get it cracking, realigns, readjust the spine, so it's quite good before getting into some deeper stretch. As sometimes the yin practice can be strong. I mean, it's always, just any yoga, it's only always as strong as deep as you make it. So you have to recognize your state of the day, your limitations, and really go with it, which is sometimes often something that we have a problem with in our competitive society, which creates type A minds. We always want to push, thinking that it's gonna make it better, and we also sometimes, or quite often, have probably little awareness sometimes to what we actually feel. So the two combined are not too good, so that's why I like to get it a bit rolling. If you're into Supta, Baddha, Konasana, anything like a block, to maybe open a bit more into already a little back bend, letting the hips open, finding that stretch. Just taking one more minute or two in this pose, taking the time to arrive, feeling the breath. And you can slowly start to release from your lying position, coming onto your knees. So now we'll go into a deeper back bend, moving into Anahata. You can probably just relax your toes, just making sure, so the alignment to really get into the pose is to get your hips right above your knees, and you just start to walk your hands forward, arms straight. So that's maybe when some sort of prop like block, a cushion, can come handy for your chest if you feel this is something that works a little bit too much on your neck, spine. But the idea is to kind of let your heart hang down, so not coming forward, otherwise you lose the stretch. Again, you want to make sure that your hips are back, palms into the floor, And you should be feeling really good stretch into the shoulders, so it opens the chest, the shoulders, and you really want to sort of feel the back of the heart, the middle of the spine that sort of really dumps down, so get a bit of a stretch. I mean, it depends obviously what sort of whatever injury or anything with your spine history you might have. We all have tightness in different parts. Some people more in the lumbar spine or more in the thoracic spine. Obviously, if you've got neck issues, you don't want to bring your chin to the floor, but rather your forehead. And that's when a pillow or a block can come handy if you feel this is enough for your shoulders and you don't want to have your shoulders work up too much. Otherwise, breath by breath, you'll notice, and practice by practice, you'll notice that your heart is going to start to reach down towards the floor, arching a bit more into the spine, stretching into those shoulders. Again, just really work with the breath, letting every breath out help to relax the spine. Just taking maybe 1 more minute or so in this pose. And then you can slowly come forward onto your elbows. You can overlap your hands. I like to make a sort of diamond shape here so that I can rest my forehead on my hands to lengthen into the back of the neck. So that's really a sort of counter pose for the neck if you've been with your chin on the ground. So you want to try to work your thumbs just right there in between your eyebrows, in the nick of the nose, just so that you protect your nose from smashing into the ground. And just relax the back of the neck, letting the spine gently return to a neutral position. And then you can gently stretch into Baddha, child's pose. You can keep your knees nice and wide. Just taking a few breaths here with your forehead relaxed. Again, trying to really lengthen into the back of the neck to counter that previous pose. Maybe rolling your shoulders back. Any movement that feels good. Even if you feel like a good stretch into the back of the neck before we move on, you can tuck your chin in, bringing your hands, the palms, into the back of your head, crown of the head to the floor. And you can lift your hips and just really round into the back of the heart, back of the neck. Little rabbit pose, just for a good stretch. And then you can bring your left knee forward, sitting back onto your left hip and you swing your right leg around. So we come into shoelace pose. Take a moment to adjust. So that's maybe when a blanket or cushion can come handy if you're a little bit tight and you need to elevate your hips if that's a bit too much for your knees. Your choice. And you can bring your right hand behind your back, inhaling your left arm up. You can either get hold of your fingers if that's available, or if this is too much, you can just keep your hands on your knees. Other option, if you want to stretch a little bit more into the rhomboids, muscles between the shoulder blades, you can bring your left arm under and either you just give yourself a good hug so you can grip with your fingers to bring your arms into a better hug. Always something that we appreciate, most probably lack these days, so just give yourself a good hug or move into the full eagle pose. And if you have the full eagle pose, you might even lean forward or just Gomukhasana, arms lengthening into the spine. So we'll stay there for just about a minute or two in whichever variation that you have chosen, just to settle into the pose, feel into it, trying to stay grounded into both hips equally. Noticing the spine, trying to keep it nice and straight. Trying to lengthen as you inhale. Soften into your shoulders, your hips as you exhale. Try to find a little bit more ease, sweet spot in the pose. And then very slowly you can release, and we just take a little twist so you can hook your left elbow on the outside of your right knee, bringing your right hand behind your back. And again, working with the breath as you inhale, see if you can lengthen, broadening into the collarbones. And as you exhale, turn your head, twist into the spine. We'll take a few breaths in here. Nice seated twist. Very slowly, on an inhale, you unwind and you come back. And you're going to bring your right ankle to kiss your left knee. And you can gently lean back on your hands. If you have wrist issues, you'll be lying all the way down onto your back. Otherwise, see if you can just stay onto both hands behind you, and you're just gonna bring your left heel to align with your left hip. So you can start with your leg a little bit extended, just so that you can enter into the pose nice and easy. Again, you might just lie down for thread the needle if that's enough for you. Otherwise, you can try it also. Just sort of next level is on your elbows, but rather full pose. Idea here would be to be on your hands with your fingers pointing forward. If that's too much for your wrist, you can just keep your fingers pointing back, a little bit easier, and try to open through the chest. So if you want to work on your wrists a little bit more, again, trying to draw your shoulder blades towards each other. And if you want to find a stronger edge, you just walk your left foot a little bit closer to your hip, and you try to keep opening that right knee. Or not opening the right knee, but moving that knee away from your chest. Still flexing your left foot to protect the knee. It's not too strong in this pose, so it should be fine. And try to keep your chest reaching forward so that you stretch also into your shoulders. We'll just take another minute here, a little bit of a strong one. So again, just adjust if you need to lie back on your elbows, all the way down on your back. Feel free to do so. And then you can slowly release. So either staying onto your back, your hands, your elbows, and you can just take a quick windshield wipers, feet as wide as the mat. And just exhaling out one way, and then the other way. Pretty strong stretch for the shoulders. Maybe not so much for the hips. And then slowly you can come up. You slide your right leg under, just so that you can bring your left leg over, so that we take the other side. Adjusting, so if you need to lift up, use a prop, feel free to do so. I like to wiggle my hips a little bit here, and also probably push my knees so that they're quite stacked on top of each other. I find it just really helps to keep the spine quite straight as you ground it into your hips. Again, you can take either cow face already, or taking a hug with your right arm under. Again, really use your fingers so that you can give yourself a good hug. Feel that stretch into the back of the heart. Or maybe, if you can go further, you can take the Garudasana, eagle arms. And you really want to lift your elbows but relax the shoulders down. Maybe you can lean forward. Or if you take the Gomukhasana, it's left arm under, right arm up as you inhale. And it's probably good to keep the spine straight. So we've got a minute or two here. Letting the breath help you to settle into the pose. then gently releasing as you exhale, coming into your twist. Again, as you inhale, lifts into the spine, lift into the collarbone. And as you exhale, nice twist, looking towards behind you. And you keep working with the breath. We've got about a minute here. So a few breaths to feel that lift into the heart, softening in the hips, rib cage, shoulders as you exhale. Nice and slow, you can inhale to come back to center, and after the hug comes the kiss. So you can again get your left ankle to kiss your right knee. Kissy, 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 either lying onto your back, elbows, whatever's most appropriate for you. Aligning right foot, right hip. Again, maybe coming onto your hands. See if you can maybe even arch into the spine. Depends how far you want to go into the pose, or if you just want to focus on your hips, you just do a thread the needle maybe. Otherwise, you've got a little bit more here into wrists, shoulders. Again, the closer the heel, the stronger the stretch, but you definitely want to try to work that left knee away from the chest. Not too long here, that's a pretty strong one. Bit of a deep stretch. So even though it's a strong stretch, maybe a little bit more on the yang side, try to ease into it. See if you can find that yin within the yang. And for that, maybe it's the exhale that is going to help you to really relax into it. And then slowly releasing, again maybe coming onto your back or staying onto your back. Maybe a little windshield wipers. And we can just finish with dragonfly or just an easy forward fold if you want. Your choice. If you don't want to go too deep, you can just come into caterpillar, but you want to probably have your feet as wide as the mat so that you can really fold in between your legs. Easy version. Or if you can go, you have more flexibility. It's good to use your mat in this way because this can give you a bit of reference depending on where your hips and feet fall in the mat, just so that you know if you progress or if you can't quite get to where you get sometimes. You know that maybe there's some sort of tightness, something to attend to. If you don't have so much awareness and you want to make sure you flex your toes and just try to relax forward, letting the pelvis tilt forward. So we've just got 2-3 minutes here. And as usual, we try to keep the spine nice and straight, so you really want to reach forward with your heart as you inhale. Soften into your hips as you exhale. And just soften here. Trying to keep your forehead relaxed on a block, back of your hands, whatever is most appropriate. It's a pretty good pose to end the practice. As a general rule, forward folds help to go a little bit deeper within. Helps to relax, especially when you find some pressure on the forehead. You can close your eyes. This gets us ready for Shavasana, a final relaxing pose. Quite possibly keeping your eyes closed. Very, very gently. As you inhale, you can start to make your way up, helping your knees to come back with your hands. And just bringing your legs together, nice and slow. And lying straight away on your back, relaxing completely in Shavasana. Such a nice release into the hips, back of the legs from this strong pose. Just enjoy that, relax. Soften onto your back. Enjoy a few minutes of bliss. Or as long as you want, as usual, you can just switch everything off. Maybe play Yoga Nidra if you have more time. Or just forget about the time. See if you can really find that place where time disappears, doesn't count. This is where you'll find a deeper relaxation. So you're not doing Shavasana for such amount of time. Just allow yourself to be in Shavasana. Deep relaxation pose.